Good morning. Imagine yourselves as a senior in high school. I'll bet you're probably a lot like me. Awkward, whimsical, dramatic. Now imagine your high school self in front of 4,000 cheering fans for the first time. The bright Coliseum lights are blinding you from the cheerleaders and pep bands in the stands. Your heart's thumping so fast you think it's going to jump out your chest. Now, you may be shocked to find out that I wasn't competing in football or basketball or some other sports playoff. My team was competing at South's Best Robotics Championship. You can picture something like the NCAA tournament, but for nerds. No, really. Best Robotics pits 4 teams against one another in 3-minute rounds. Every year, the game theme changes, and this year, the most valuable game pieces were 4 fuel tanks located at the center of a raised platform. I was the first driver to go for our team, and I could still hear the MC in my head. 3, 2, 1. The match started, and all 4 robots raced towards the fuel tanks. My robot was the first to the center platform. I reached down and grabbed 4 fuel tanks, just like we planned it. As I raised my robot arm to claim my prize, I heard a crack cut through the crowd noise. Our robot grabber had snapped, and we lost a fuel tank to another team. Not how we planned it. Spoiler alert, this isn't one of those stories where I tell you about how awesome our design was or how we fought through adversity to come out on top. My team finished 40th place out of 50 teams. But even immediately after the competition, that was okay with my teammates and I. It's not that we didn't care how we placed. We dedicated hundreds of man-hours to working on our robot. Teenagers don't dedicate hundreds of hours to anything they don't care about. The final standings at South's Best said that we were failures. But our memories of the experience will always say otherwise. Outside of robotics, in regular school, it was much less fun to fail. Students everywhere are told, if you don't pass this test, you might not get into college. You won't be successful. As a society, we put so much pressure on our future generation to succeed on every assignment. One standardized test after another, a blur of Scantron bubbles and writing prompts defining the K-12 experience for millions of students. And the pressure is beginning to take its toll. In 2015, the Center for Collegiate Mental Health at Penn State University released a study that showed the number of students seeking mental health services increased by 30% over just a 6-year span. But in hindsight, my teammates and I never really feared failure. And I believe robotics is the reason why. We live at a point in history where robots are as accessible as they have ever been before. Robots have trickled their way down from university research labs to after-school clubs for advanced students, to some schools today utilizing robotics at every grade level. I get to work with teachers and students across the Southeast, helping them incorporate robotics at their schools. Not only can robots be used to teach your typical STEM subjects, science, engineering, and math, but they're a versatile classroom tool that can be used to teach lessons in nearly any subject. Meet Dash. Dash has a xylophone attachment that lets us teach musical concepts and sequencing. We have teachers in our network integrating robotics with lessons on prepositions with their English language learners to make them less intimidating. With our youngest students, we love to use robots that can be coded with markers, capturing their imaginations at a young age while helping them develop fine motor skills and logic. Students that are exposed to robotics tend to internalize a certain mindset for the rest of their lives. Students become empowered by the ability to make their own design choices. And one thing that all students who work with robots eventually learn is that most of the time, nothing on your robot is working the way you want it. And that's exactly why robots are so effective at teaching the skills necessary to be successful in all areas of life. Robotics students are expected to fail, repeatedly. But each failure is a new lesson. Each failure is necessary feedback to inform the next decision and move one step closer to the final design. Robotics has taught me that success isn't dependent on any individual failure. Success is gradual. Success is making a mistake, learning from it, and being diligent enough to try again. So thinking back to my teammates and I at Southwest, it's not that we were immune to disappointment or failure. We were simply conditioned to it. And I think that's a lesson we can all take home and experiment with. What kind of success could all of us achieve if we were more willing to fail? Thank you.